Got the technology to work again. Good evening, everyone. We are live for the wrap-up of day 4 of the Run Against Violence Broken Hill to Sydney Virtual Team Challenge for 2024. I'm Kirili Deer and I am flying solo tonight. You're going to have me for the next 20 minutes. Yes, buckle on in. We've got a few interesting things that we're going to be working through and talking about tonight. But there's some very, very interesting things unfolding in the race. And also I'm going to take you for a bit of a trip down memory lane. So let me know where you're joining me from and who's out there, because it's a little bit quiet on my end without any special guests here this evening. So it'd be lovely to know I've got some company. Okay, so what am I going to work through tonight? First of all, I'll tell you about the ticker data that you're seeing in front of you. Tonight's analysis, I have gone through the latest set of results and I have divided the number of kilometres done by a team by the number of people on the team. So the data that you're seeing at the moment is the average kilometres per person on that team. It's really interesting how the order flips. At the top of the box is MMS 2024 with 60 kilometres. Then we have, just having a little bit of a malfunction of my own here. Out training, out running, out living with 54. Running for my life with 47 kilometres per person. And friends at Swiss Mountain Goats, 45. M3PS, the mighty Rob and Maria are on that team that we had on last night. And if you didn't see the interview with Rob and Maria last night, I really suggest going and doing it, watching it, because it was very, very motivating. Even I felt like I wanted to get out and run another ultra. So it doesn't happen very often these days, I can promise you. So M3PS, they are sitting on an average of 44. So some amazing kilometres being added to the totals there on a per person basis. Excellent. So keep watching those. I'll keep flipping through them. As I've mentioned before, the software here doesn't allow me to put everyone on the same ticker. So I'll just gradually feed it through as we go. How's everyone's feet, legs, body parts feeling on day 4? Post me a comment. I can't actually see the comments on Instagram. Sorry if anyone thinks I'm being rude and ignoring them. I can't see them live for some reason. StreamYard doesn't allow that to happen, or Instagram doesn't allow that to happen. But certainly if you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, or on our YouTube channel, then please, post me a comment. How's the bodies feeling at day 4? I know I've had to be really careful with the amount I'm walking, just to make sure that I'm not putting too much pressure on my body early, because we've got a long way to go and your fitness will build as we go along. So trying to run, for instance, lots of Ks when you're not used to it, actually you'll end up with some pretty bad injuries halfway through this game that we are all playing. Fantastic. Okay, what else have I got in store for us tonight? 2024 participant heat map. Everyone loves the heat map. Now that registrations are closed, I can actually give you the official heat map for 2024, and it looks like this. Brilliant. How cool is that? So I can only show Australia on this screen. It's a bit too small by the time I go out to the full world image. But certainly we've had some fantastic representation across the East Coast, some really strong representation starting to come in there in Western Australia. And I love the fact that we've had people from up in Mission River, way, way up the north of Australia, right down to Tasmania. So people from all over the country and all over the world are currently making their way from Broken Hill to Sydney, and hopefully enjoying the journey along the way. Now that brings me to my next piece of news that I wanted to share, which is the current map. Clickety-clickety-clue, getting through all these bits of data. This is the current live map. Now, isn't it amazing to see all of those fantastic blue dots moving across the map? It Yeah, yeah. I love the caravan. It looks like a whole caravan of just people moving across the countryside. Now, where we've got an enormous amount of concentration of people is in this area here, between Menindee and Ivanhoe. There are currently 95 teams on that stretch of road. It's a 207 kilometre stretch of dirt, basically, that goes through past some incredible properties and stations, and very, very kind people out there supported us during our journey. But it's amazing to think that that's where we're going in. Now, if I can be a little bit clever and zoom in on some of this, there we go. Yeah, you can see this from Menindee all the way through to Ivanhoe, just all of these dots. So if you're not familiar with this map, you can keep zooming in on it and you'll start to see the initials of teams appear. So you click on that and then you can see who is there, which team it is. Or if you see one of the numbers, say here at number 2, click on that and it takes you in further. And then you can see, there's a good team called Mary Jig Mayhem there. They need to get their act together a little bit. And Brothers and Friends, I know, hi Carolyn and her team, BMMC1. So you can start then seeing the statistics and the people that are around you, the teams that are around you. But it's an amazing, I think, picture to see all these people moving across the countryside. Not many people have been out on that road. Most of the time when you travel to Broken Hill, you will go out on one of these yellow roads here, one of the main highways out here. This is a dirt road all the way through. And as I said, from Menindee to Ivanhoe is a 207-ish kilometre stretch of dirt. So I thought I'd show you some images from when we were out there. Remove that one and we add in this one. There we go. Fantastic. So this is the first morning that I was on a few kilometres along that road. We'd finished the night beforehand, and first thing in the morning, about 10 kilometres outside of Menindee, heading toward Ivanhoe. And essentially this is how the road looks for 207 kilometres. It's an amazing, amazing stretch. It was flat. It was open. I got to see some very large kangaroos and lots and lots of emus. Not too far away from sections of this road is railway. So it's all freight trains that are moving out there. So some of the train drivers got to know us quite well and would toot and that sort of thing as they went past. But basically we broke this stretch into three 80 kilometres and a bit days. So each day we would just start at a point, we would just run along this road, get to a point by dusk, and then have to commute. It was a very long drive, transport into Ivanhoe. And then the next morning it'd be 2 hours back out, get on the side of the track again and start running. Some of you are just passing Big Ampy Station. This is actually what it looks like. And if you possibly are on a big enough screen, you can see in the background there is a vehicle. That's my support vehicle. So as I was mentioning the other night, they would just drive ahead 5 kilometres and then I would run to them, then they'd drive ahead again. And so for the bulk of the time going along this road, I could actually see this very tiny dot 5 kilometres ahead. As to where I had to run to. Psychologically, it was a really, really challenging stretch of road because it is so straight and you feel like you're not really moving anywhere. When you've got bends and trees and vegetation and other sort of infrastructure, you get a sense that you're moving along. But when it's open like this, it really becomes a mental challenge, especially when you're doing it day after day. But if you do keep persisting, teams, you will get there. And this is at the Ivanhoe end of things when you hit the tar again, and it does feel very, very special to get there. During that entire period, we were pretty much out of mobile range. So the virtual challenge was happening in 2017, the very first virtual challenge, but I didn't have any sense of being able to actually interact with anyone or see any of it, because as soon as I stopped running at night, I laid down in the back seat of the car, put my feet up ate, rested, and just tried to recuperate for the next day. But on arrival into Ivanhoe, I managed to score something that's very important, except it's not going to come up now, and that's the internet. I managed to, start coming into internet range for a while, and I could actually see all of the things that people have been commenting on and posting about and everything else. So good luck out on the Ivanhoe Road, the people that are out there. Just persist with it. It feels like that dot's not moving very far, but you will get there. And it's, if you ever get the chance to actually go out and and experience it and see it firsthand, please do, and say hello to everyone out there. And really, really enjoy it when you're there. Wonderful. Okay, so tonight, I've had a few people ask me in recent times about our mission. Now, Run Against Violence mission is to build communities where family violence can no longer live. And I really love it when people ask me questions about this mission and challenge it, because it means that people are really thinking about what, I think I'll put it into that mode. There we go. It's a bit bigger. I'm a bit diabolical with the clicks tonight, aren't I? It means people are actually genuinely thinking about what RAV is here to do. It's a lot of fun, there's no doubt about it, and everyone, gets something out of it personally. But ultimately, we're here to make an enormous difference to our communities. The RAV mission is to build communities where family violence can no longer live. Now, it sounds like a really lovely thing to do. And for some people, they sort of question whether that's even possible. So they go, well, it's really lovely, very nice sentiment, well done, but family violence isn't something we'll ever get rid of. It's something we've always lived with, that it's too much of a deeply entrenched problem, or, it's too big. It's too big. It's just how human beings are. We'll always be that way. And I get where people are coming from, because when I first started on this journey 10 years ago, I guess I had similar thoughts about the issue and about how entrenched it is, and really what role can I even play as a Joe average human being to solving that problem. But after 10 years of learning and seeing what is possible, we really have come to an answer of how we build those communities. So a statement like that is it is wishful thinking unless there's a plan attached. And over the last 12 months, we've started building the RAV blueprint, the plan that we have for building these communities. I'm not going to talk you through the entire plan right now because it's detailed, and we've got about 5 minutes left before we've all got to chuff on off to have some dinner or whatever else, go for a walk perhaps, and clock up some Ks. But I'll tell you this, put this picture in your mind. When it comes to the way we've been managing family violence traditionally. Now, family violence has only existed in Australia since colonisation. There's clear evidence that prior to colonisation, our First Nations communities didn't have family violence as we know it today. And there are a lot of traditions and I guess social structures around that enabled those healthier communities to exist. So first of all, we've got to realise it's not something that's always been with us. So therefore, it is something that's possible to therefore remove from our communities. But how? The trick in it is, how do we actually make that happen? So traditionally, the attitude has been, for decades, has been to let's just kind of ignore it. When I'm describing this to people, I often say, think of family violence as this visitor that's turned up on the doorstep of our homes, knocked on the front door, invited itself into the homes, plonked down in the lounge and said, I'm staying. and then cause lots and lots of problems in that family. A traditional way of managing that has been to tell that visitor to go stay in the back room, and we lock them in the back room and pretend they're not there. But the problem is it does keep coming out and keep affecting our family. So we now know we can't ignore it anymore. So the next way that we've had of dealing with it is trying to learn to live with it. So you'll hear terms like harm minimization and resilience and supporting people out of violence. But that's still, again, the violence is winning. It's staying in our homes and we're trying to live around it. Where this statement that we're building communities where family violence can no longer live is actually saying, you know what, we're going to kick that visitor, that toxic visitor, out of our homes. We're going to lock the door behind it. And then we're going to kick it out of our communities, and we're going to make sure that our communities are healthy and resilient enough that that visitor never gets invited back. The best way I've found to describe it is it's like we need to build the immune system of our communities. And in the RAV blueprint, our plan for making this happen, there are 4 social factors that we are going to bring into play to build that immune system. Those 4 factors, which I'll talk about more in a few nights' time, are caring communities. This year's theme of caring conversations fits into that area. So we need to become caring communities and wrap that sense of community and belonging around everyone. The second part is respectful relationship normalization. So we know respectful relationship education is really important, and that's why RAV's invested $400,000 over the last 4 years toward ensuring every teenager has access to respectful relationship education. So we know respectful relationship education is important, but respectful relationship normalization, that takes it one step further. That realizes and recognizes that we all have to be exhibiting healthy relationships, respectful relationships in all aspects of our life. The third zone of activity, as we call them, is building healthy self-esteem. When people have healthy self-esteem, they don't feel the need to control other people or exert control over other people. Equally, when people have healthy self-esteem, they tend to reject abusive behaviours more readily. And the fourth part is reliable services. So where we want to get to is that when people first recognise that their relationship isn't healthy, we want to have the right services there at a very early stage to support them to get back into a healthy relationship. Again, they could be counselling services, they could be educational services, could be all sorts of support services. But at a community level, we need to make sure those services are there so we can all help each other get back into healthy relationships. That is an incredibly quick version of the RAV blueprint. And like I said, we're using that to guide where we're investing money, and also in the coming days we'll be talking about this fantastic new initiative that's been developed that we'll be rolling out nationally in order to really help cement those 4 zones of activity, 4 types of activity into our communities. So is it possible to build communities where family violence no longer lives? Absolutely, it is. But it's not possible unless we have a plan and we start implementing that plan. And that's what RAV is truly working toward. But how we get going with that is each year we hold this flagship event, because it gives us the platform to have these conversations, to actually start implementing some of those zones of activity in our own community, because you would have seen all of those 4 things coming into play through this event. And it means we get to learn too, because throughout all of this, we're all having conversations with people who have lived experience, with experts, with people from all walks of life, to understand really what it's going to take to build communities where family violence can no longer live. End of my talk for tonight. Thank you for listening. I hope you have had a fantastic a fantastic day 4. I hope your body's holding up to it and you're feeling well. And please, if anything I've said today is you have questions about it or you would like to know more, obviously there's the Facebook group, just post it up in there or DM me directly. Have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow. I will have Patty Kikos with me, who is the host of the RAV podcast, and we'll be talking about all the things you're going to learn through this year's RAV podcast. Adios.